Hey, we didn't have any problems, and we are live with Jes. Oh, usually we have an intro, but I've had some problems with my Facebook. I've had problems now with StreamYard. It took me, where are we at right now? What time is it? 4:05, or about 5 minutes late, but not that big of a deal. It doesn't look like it's storming by you at all, Jes.
No, it's not. It's kind of cloudy, right? Starting to get a little cloudy from the west, I would say, moving in. But no,
Okay.
it's been fairly nice out all day. So yeah, I've been trying to get some fresh herbs planted and get some backyard stuff finished, I guess you could say.
I love it. I love it. I love it. So we're going to talk a little bit about, oh, there we go. I went a little bit too close. We're going to talk about your businesses, how you got into being and I call you a chef because that's what you are, but I don't know if you want to be referred to that. And we'll talk about some different foods in the community of Osage. And I don't know, this might take 30 minutes. It might take an hour. It depends on the conversation that we have. But first off, thanks for coming on. This is our 14th Mavericks podcast. I have to make sure I have the appropriate brand stuff up here. Oh, there we go. I got to give a shout out to Alpha Roofing Company. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. But they are the sponsor for this beautiful broadcast. So I got to ask you, Jes, it's been a little while. What do you have in that drink of yours?
Oh, this is actually some Buffalo Trace, Buffalo Trace and soda, Coke.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm a whiskey drinker. I like whiskey, bourbons. Yeah, I like it all. Wine, vodka. Depends on what I'm eating usually. In this case, it's just hot and humid, so yeah, it's refreshing.
I was just down in Osage. We were doing work for the school, putting together all their academics that they've been through and athletics as well. Obviously, this story is more athletics, where the graduation was more academics. But okay, I want to find out a little bit more about you and how did you get? No one doesn't know who Jes is. She owns Piggyback Smoke Shack and also Taste in downtown Osage, Iowa, which is the county seat of Mitchell County. And we've done some work together. We will likely do some more work coming up this summer, but I want to hear kind of your story of how you got involved into food.
Oh yeah. So I guess well, my parents owned a restaurant when I was growing up. I guess that's kind of, well, actually going back even further than that. My grandma and grandpa on my mom's side, they owned a bar and pizza restaurant when I was growing up, out over up in Long Lake, Minnesota. So we would take trips up there, and I have lots of fun memories of hanging out in the kitchen with grandma making pizza dough, and her letting us use paring knives when we were 5 years old, which was pretty cool. I'm not sure if my parents thought that was cool, but it was cool.
You have to start somewhere.
Yeah. And then from there, growing up, I guess my mom and dad owned a restaurant with my aunt and uncle. They owned the restaurant that's now Tell You What in Osage, and my aunt and uncle still own it. My mom and dad don't anymore. But now my dad owns Piggyback Smoke Shack with me, and so I guess I was always kind of raised around the industry. Never interested in doing that as a career ever. Fast forward to my early 20s, and I moved to Des Moines. And I was nannying part-time, going to college part-time, and I guess baking cheesecake part-time. And essentially just to earn some extra cash to pay for my classes, so my college classes. So I started doing that, and I hated it. I'm not a baker. I'm not a baker at all. Preparing food outside of baking is definitely more my thing than the preciseness that comes with baking. But hey, that's where it all started. So I started baking cheesecakes to pay my way through college, and I didn't really think much of it, as far as the legalities go, and needing to have certain licenses and all of those things to make you legit. And so I did get a phone call from the State Department one day saying, you can't do this out of your apartment unless you're inspected and all of that. And okay, that makes sense, I guess. And so, from there, I really had to take a leap of faith. And again, it was purely just to make money to get me through college. And I started renting a kitchen space from a restaurant in Des Moines, and I used their kitchen on their off hours and hired some employees so they could bake. So that could, I mostly spent my time more in the marketing, networking side of things. While I had some employees that did most of the baking and whatnot. And then, it just kind of kept growing from there. I ironically ended up in business classes that I really enjoyed, business startup classes. And so I actually had this is kind of fun. I bartended part-time at this restaurant that I was renting the kitchen from. And I had this regular customer who would come in early afternoon, late afternoon, sit at the bar. And do you remember right when Templeton Rye kind of came out, Chris? And that was kind of a big, it was hard to find the Templeton Rye.
Not really.
Yeah, no, okay. So it's definitely an Iowa thing, Templeton, Iowa, obviously. Anyway, so I had this regular that came and sat at the bar, and he found out I was from Osage, and he knew of all of the small liquor stores kind of around, in all these small communities in Osage and St. Ansgar and whatnot. So he had convinced me to bring back a couple bottles of Templeton Rye from these small liquor stores if I could find them. And that kind of started a lot of conversation between him and I, and come to find out he was one of the small business professors at the Des Moines Area Community College. So we kind of had this agreement that I would take one of his classes and try it out and see what I thought. And I loved it. It was a business startup class, and we actually learned about Templeton Rye in that class, and kind of the marketing aspect of that, and how it became kind of a big thing. And yeah, so I really felt more in love with the business aspect of things, and really intrigued and building the business, not necessarily being in the business and baking, but yeah, so it kind of started from there, and it was just this little snowflake that kind of turned into a snowball, and a kind of, now it's this big giant snowman, I guess you could say.
So are you liking the journey so far?
I
mean,
do.
It seems like you are.
Yeah, I really it's awesome. It's it's not necessarily about the products that we're putting out and the plates of food that we're dishing up and plating up. I think more than anything, it's about the community, the conversation that you have with guests, conversation you have with customers that become friends, that become family. This week has kind of been a rough week. I know you personally, Chris, have kind of gotten to know that my grandpa Kenny has always kind of been an icon at Piggyback Smoke Shack, and
Absolutely.
You walk in and you see that chair that he always sits in. It's actually his office chair from home that he brought up, and we kind of call him our greeter. He's always kind of sitting there and welcoming people and trying to figure out who they are, and if they're new customers, where they're from, what brings them in, and yeah, so he's actually kind of downhill this week, and probably won't make it back to that spot, but it's kind of a good reminder that of the business, of the restaurant, and kind of how food brings people together, and how it's really it's a lot more than just, like I said, just putting the food and putting the product out there, but more about the community of those relationships. And I know he's had a huge impact on all of our customers that come in. And in fact, he hasn't been there for a week now, sitting at his table, and everybody's, where's Grandpa? Where's Grandpa Kenny? Where's Kenny? And it's just that reminder of there's so much more to doing something than just doing something, if that makes sense.
Yeah. So let's I want to find out a little bit more of how the process took place of you and your dad getting into business with one another, because it's an interesting dynamic. Because again, the video that we did, if anyone has gotten opportunity to see what they've been doing, is pretty fun and phenomenal to think about. I mean, you can do this anywhere, I understand, but to have two different restaurants, one kitchen, one roof is a really
Yeah.
great concept that happens in bigger towns, bigger cities, but not necessarily in a community of 3,800. Talk about why you decided to go in that direction and how the conversation came up with you and Russ or your dad to get together.
Yeah, so dad has always kind of been my mentor. And actually the cheesecake that I was always baking to try to, keep my classes paid for, they stemmed from his mom, my grandma's recipes, and he learned from her, and then he taught me, and yada yada. And so there's a lot of conversation all the time of me calling him, all right, dad, how do I do this? Or what should I do here? Somebody requested such and such flavor, how should I go about that? So he's always definitely been my number one on my speed call, and always my go-to mentor. And um, so that conversation has always been there. It's always been my business. He's just been there in the background to kind of, again, mentor me through and push me through. And it's kind of funny because I started my business in Des Moines in 2008, and I got about I don't know, maybe 8 years ago now or so, 10. I don't even know what year it is. But anyways, I got kind of homesick, and I wanted to move my business from Des Moines back to Osage, since I was born and raised here, and all my family, was around here. So I told him I wanted to move it back. He, as always, was, he always thinks my ideas are crazy, but he always goes along with them. So that, so he went along with it, again, thinking that I was crazy, but whatever. And I opened a smaller with actually now the brewery here in Osage. So opened up there and just kind of had a small little shop, and he worked a full-time job. It was just kind of my thing. Well, I had looked at this Sears building that was for sale, and obviously the Sears building is huge, right? Like way more space than what I need. And so that's kind of when I put the idea out there for him. Well, what if, I learned about they're actually, when I learned about them, they're piggyback businesses and some of my business classes in college, and I was intrigued by them. And I said, what if we did a piggyback company, Dad, where, you open a barbecue restaurant, and I'll open my taste restaurant, and we'll have two restaurants under one roof. And that way we can kind of share some expenses and kind of piggyback off each other's ideas and products, and, being able to order larger cases of food in, like larger cases of meat, or, ordering more produce from some local farmers that would, made it a little bit more worth their time getting the delivery to us. And again, he thought I was kind of batshit crazy, and but again, went along with it. I think he's learned to kind of trust my crazy ideas. They usually turn out okay. A lot of kinks getting worked out on the way, but no. So yeah, he went with it. He went with it, and that's kind of how we got to where we are right now. So he definitely runs and operates the Piggyback Smoke Shack, and I run and operate Taste, and we work together daily. And he does all of the smoking. I have, kind of my jobs and duties that I do, and it works out pretty well.
It's surprising to me because, I mean, there are a lot of businesses out there that family will go together into the business. Some work out, some don't. But the dynamic is good between you and your dad. I mean, I've only been around probably half dozen times, maybe more, but it's always good. Like, you guys, like, seriously get along really well, don't you? And even though
Yeah,
you may have different visions, it works. Am I right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. And we always have different visions, and I think that that's what makes it work. He definitely brings me down to reality sometimes, going, no, Jess, a rooftop patio is not something we can do. Like, I know we have a flat roof, but probably not where we should be investing our time and money. I'm going, oh, okay. Or, he's definitely bringing me kind of down to reality a lot. And I'm definitely always pushing him and encourage him to think a little bit more outside the box. I think, with us obviously having, the age difference that we do, the way that I think of things are a lot different than the way he thinks of things sometimes. But um, yeah, it works that way because again, I'm always trying to encourage him to, you know, to yeah, to try things new ways. And, you know, sometimes he's like, again, well, not sometimes, he's always like, no, you're batshit crazy. and I'm always like, just trust me, you know. And it's been fun, you know. I've
So
definitely learned a lot from him. Yeah.
he's kind of the more conservative one. Back up, and you're trying to push the envelope. What kind of things are you? So right now, heading into summer, what kind of things are you trying to push on to bring to both businesses?
Well, just this week, he doesn't know this yet, so let's just keep this between us. Hopefully,
All right,
he's not out there
it's just between us. Yep.
But this week specifically, I'm going to encourage him to put together some Bloody Mary like kits. You know, I thought if we use some of his brisket burnt ends, and some of his smoked meats, and some of the smoked cheeses that we have, and put them kind of all together in a sort of like a Bloody Mary kit. And he has obviously rubs, you know, brisket rub, pork rub, all these different rubs, and they're amazing to rim a Bloody Mary glass with, right? And so he doesn't know it yet, but I'm thinking
That's a good idea.
Right? I know. I'm like, this would be fun. You know, going into Memorial Weekend. I mean, who doesn't want to wake up and drink Bloody Marys every day, right? Or even if we're Memorial Weekend. But so yeah, I'm gonna be proposing that idea to him tomorrow morning. I'll just tell you right now, he's gonna be like, whatever. Like, it's probably not gonna work because of this. And what kind of container are we gonna use? And I need to make more rub then, and you know, all this stuff. And I'm gonna be like, Dad, where there's a will, there's a way. We can do this, you know. And then he's gonna laugh, and we're gonna do it and conquer it, and it'll be amazing.
So I want to talk about some of the fresh ingredients you guys use locally, but I'm going to put that to the side burner. We'll talk about that in a second. The dynamic between if it's a father-son with the dad or father-son with the mom, what is it really like when there's stress there? So I try to put myself. So I work with KFS, Keith and Sam. That's a father-son, obviously, and I always laugh when Sam refers to his dad as Keith, and then I remember asking, like, getting confused. Same with you and Russ, like, or your dad.
Yeah.
Like, are they daughter, son? Are they daughter, father, son, father? Like, what's going on? So, do you refer to your dad as Russ?
Oh, I refer to him as corporate maintenance. Depends on the situation, really. A lot of times it's maintenance, like, you know, coolers dropping in temp, or you know, slicer needs to be sharpened, or, you know, something like that. I'm constantly like, maintenance. If I'm out front and, you know, a salesperson walks in and wants to you know, sell me on some whatever, I always refer to him as corporate. Like, well, I'm gonna have to check in with corporate. You know, honestly, he doesn't really make too many corporate decisions. He puts those back into my lap, but it's really fun just to refer to him as corporate, especially when it's those things I'm trying to like get out of doing or pushing his way. I'm like, oh yeah, corporate will take care of that. I do call him Russ. I think mostly because I think we have a really good way of having that separation of father, daughter at work, outside of work. You know, at work, I'm his boss, you know, kind of thing. He's always my dad. He's always going to be my mentor. There's more times that I'm going to him asking, you know, advice than he's coming to me asking for advice. But I mean, we've kind of developed this relationship at work that, you know, what I say and all my batshit crazy ideas go. And, you know, he's got to kind of trust that they'll work out. And so at work, inside those walls, you know, I do refer to him as Russ, corporate maintenance. Sometimes it's other things. I don't know. We have lots of fun names for him. Brussels sprout. We call him Brussels sprout a lot. And that came from an employee about 5 years ago, and it kind of stuck. But yeah, and then we walk out those doors, and it's instantly dad. It's instantly. In fact, we've had some concern. You've met Alyssa, our general manager, who's amazing.
Yep.
She's definitely our solid rock, And we had, she had some concerns when she first took the general management position on working with us as, father, daughter. And, we just had to sit her down and say, look, there's going to be awkwardness every now and then between us. When we're here and we're in these doors, we're in a working relationship. It's not father daughter. As soon as we walk out these doors, it's father daughter, and we've just learned that that's important. That's the way that it has to be. We've gotten to a couple of screaming matches at work. It's been super awkward for anybody listening or around or whatnot, but it's because we have so much invested emotionally, so much invested. All of our extra time goes into that place, and it can get intense, and so we've definitely had a couple of our moments, but it's kind of funny because anybody that's witnessed those moments have been like, oh shit, this is this is bad, this is crazy, they're not happy with each other, and we can walk out that door, and as soon as we walk out that door, I'm giving a hug, love you, Dad, like, see you at supper, yep, I'll be bringing the pork over, and we get back to work, and then we have to pick back up with the awkwardness and figure out what we have to do to carry through. So it's definitely something that we went into it knowing that is going to be a challenge. And I've seen, like I said, my family owning restaurants while I was growing up, I've seen the falling outs happen. My dad and my uncle, actually, his brother, my dad's brother owned a restaurant when I was growing up too, here in town, and my dad owned his restaurant at the same time, and they had kind of a falling out, kind of as competitors almost, and they ended up smoothing things out and whatnot. But yeah, like, just it's hard, but we do it, and I can't imagine not getting to go into work and seeing my dad every day. Like, every day I get to see him, and I think that's a pretty cool thing.
I think so too. And yeah, I think it's amazing that you guys have that good of a relationship. What about the rest of your family? Where's your mom? Do you have brothers and sisters? What do they think about this whole restaurant and your dad and you getting to work together?
Yeah, so my brother and sister, I'm surprised you haven't met them yet, because between my brother and my sister, my mom, my stepdad, my cousins, my grandpa, there's never hardly a single day that goes by that there isn't another one of us in that restaurant. So
And maybe I have. You never know. There were times when I was in there, there's a lot of people. Who knows if someone was actually in there that was family to you?
Yeah, and they just walk in the back door and kind of you wouldn't know if they're an employee or not. So my brother, actually, you've seen our bar at Piggyback, that big huge bar. So my brother actually built that bar for us. When we went into the Sears building, it was just that. It looked like a Sears building. It was drop ceiling. A lot had to be done to it to make it look how it does now, and it was us. It was our family. It was my sister. It was my brother. It was my husband, boyfriend at the time, not even fiance. I can't believe he decided to take us all on, especially after all those crazy times. But anyways, so yeah, my brother's in there constantly. He walked in today, he's constantly checking in, seeing what we're doing. His girlfriend Chelsea owns the Rusty's Last Call bar here in town. So
Okay.
they're in a lot doing candied bacon for her breakfast shots, and my brother's in all the time. My brother and my dad were actually the ones who started smoking a lot together. So they had actually built a couple smokers out at my dad's house before my dad got his Southern Pride smoker for the restaurant. But yeah, so my brother is definitely always in and out. My sister, she actually works as the food director of the Charles City School District. So she's in food as well. She was our general manager for a couple years, probably about 6 years ago or so. we found out real fast that that didn't work. Having two daughters and dad all in one building working full time together, that was the limit. We were over the limit. So yeah, she went on to something else, and probably for the best. But she's in food. Let's see, my mom, anytime that she's in town, she lives about 8 hours away. So anytime she's in town, she's popping in, and she's a foodie too. So I'm constantly having conversation with her. Mom, what should my next progressive dinner, theme be? And she's always telling me, what she thinks. And yeah, so yeah, that's that.
So, if you were having your last supper for, say, someone, or you wanted to make sure you could make the best meal for the president, what is yours? I mean, so it's scallops. What you made us that one day for the shoot.
Yeah.
It's that the one that I never got to try because we were so busy working.
Yeah.
So scallops is what you would, if the president came to your restaurant, that's what you would be making.
Yeah, I would definitely do some pan-seared sea scallops, probably with some like seared pancetta and fennel, or I don't know, maybe whatever's in season, whatever the farmers grew lately.
What do you think your dad would make?
Ribs.
Ribs.
Yeah, yep, definitely ribs. Funny story. It took us probably a good, I would say, year for him to find the ribs, like his ribs that he wanted to, to keep investing his time into. I'm not kidding you, Chris. We went through so many cases of ribs. I'm like, really? Like, okay. And coming from a lady who enjoys a lot of seafood, and I specifically I like beef. I like pork, but I'm not a big rib, I'm not a big barbecue fan. That's definitely stereotypically that's a pretty manly thing.
Yeah.
So I'm like, really, Dad, how many more ribs do we have to eat? And all these, I mean, every brand, you name it, we went through them all. So he finally found the ones that he wanted. And then it was funny because then last year through COVID, they discontinued him. And I'm like, no,
What?
we can't go through this again. There's no way we can do this again. And thank the Lord they brought him back. So we're good now. But yeah, he would do ribs for sure. And his ribs, he's very they shouldn't fall off the bone. He's very traditionally Southern. You got to bite them off the bone a little bit. They shouldn't fall off the bone. The meat shouldn't. But yeah, that's what he'd do.
Yeah, I've had some pretty good ribs in my time. I don't know if I've had ribs by your place, but I know I've had the buffalo or the wings, which were delicious because, I mean, ever since the Buffalo Wild Wing kind of took off the last 15 years, everyone assumes that we have to have wings with all kinds of these crazy sauces, which are good. Don't get me wrong, but your dad does it a little bit different. He doesn't have any of that stuff on. It is pure smoked wings, and they are good.
They are. I do agree with that. Out of everything that he does, the wings are personally my favorite. The wings right now. Did you know there's a wing shortage? Did you know Buffalo Wild Wings doesn't have wings right now? That's a thing.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's a thing. In fact, we're catering a wedding this weekend. And about 3-4 weeks ago, I was finalizing all of the details with the bride and then her mom. And her mom is the CEO. I'm not really. She does something for the Happy Joe's Pizza restaurants. And she said, Jes, how do you plan on getting these wings in for the wedding? I'm completely naive on what's going on. What do you mean? I'm just gonna order them in. We're gonna just smoke them like we always do. She said, no, there's a wing shortage. I'm like, no, this isn't happening. This couple wants wings. We're getting them wings. So, like I said, this was probably 4 weeks ago, and I called my rep then, and I said, listen, I said, this couple has been through it all with trying to plan and replan their wedding and plan it again because of COVID. I said, I'm going to find them wings. You're going to find them wings. And my rep said, okay, I'll do my best. And he called and said, all right, I got you, about 1,000 wings is what I needed. He said, I got you 1,000 wings, but here's the deal. You're going to have to freeze them until you need them. I said, I'll take it. So I called up the bride and her mom and I said, okay, I can get them, but I'm going to have to freeze them because usually they come into us fresh and then we smoke them fresh. And they said, you know what? Let's do it. And so we've had these 1,000 wings like hanging out in our freezer. And it's funny because you would have no like, oh, there's been at least a handful of people who have called up and said, hey, can I get a roaster full of wings for a graduation? Hey, I need to get some wings and like these things are on reserve in our freezer just waiting for this bride and groom. And I'm like, my dad's been joking about how he could have, made 10 times the amount of profit, selling them kind of underneath of me to other people. I said, you do it and we're over.
That is it, Dad. I'm finding somebody else to be the smoker.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's transition to some of the local stuff. I know you're a huge advocate of shopping local, having everything in your restaurant as much as possible local. I know you work with certain local vendors. Talk about why that's important to you.
Yeah. So when I moved here from Des Moines and started my business here, like I said, about 10 years ago now, I was really flabbergasted by the fact that there wasn't a whole lot of like local going on between the farmer and the restaurant owner, or the farmer and the chef, or the farmer and the cook. There just wasn't a lot of that going on. And I had many conversations with local farmers and producers, like trying to get behind the whys, like why is this not a thing? I learned a lot really quick. I learned, obviously it's hard to have a very sustainable product when you have something like ribs, and we're selling out, just say 40 racks of ribs in a week. I mean, there's not a whole lot of local farmers that can, keep up with that demand sort of thing. Okay, so learn that. So, what can we do then? What can we do that, that'll be a sustainable practice? Like, what can we do? And it was kind of fun because, we started planning back then for now. I mean, so what's happening now is I'm seeing the planning from 5 years ago, 10 years ago really unfold. I had met with somebody who was raising chicken, and it was kind of like, okay, let's project this out. Let's project how many chicken I'm, as the chef, as the restaurant owner, how many am I going to need in a year? Like, really? Like, I don't know. Like, and again, so I'm going to corporate, to Russ, and saying, hey, I'm meeting with these, farmers, and they're asking me, about how many chicken we can go through in a year. And he's like, you're batshit crazy. Like, I don't know these answers. Like, why are you like? He's like, this is insane. Like, how? Like, and I'm like, okay, we can make this work. We can figure it out. And again, like I was persistent, and I kept having the conversation with the farmers and the producers, and I got connected with Healthy Harvest North Iowa, which are an amazing. They're just a really good organization, nonprofit organization, to really pull all of the local food together. They have some really cool workshops, and they hosted actually a workshop that was specifically meat producers, and trying to kind of connect them with restaurants and farmers and restaurant owners. And there I met a handful of great farmers and producers that we're still using yet today. So anyways, it kind of took a while to get all of that conversation going, and that planning and projecting. And it's really fun now to see like the chicken guy, Aaron Thomas from Thomas Farmstead.
Yeah.
He knows now about how many chicken we go through on a pretty regular basis, and it works. We've been making it work. Again, as far as like brisket or the ribs, that's a little bit further out there. But produce wise, there's a handful of I have kind of my regular farmers that I work with, and get in a lot of fresh herbs, and a lot of just produce, whatever's in season for them. And the cool thing about my kitchen at Taste is that it's a very like rotating menu. I'm always doing, what's in season, and creating items that way, rather than I think it's so hard having a fixed menu and then trying to outsource those items for that menu. I've definitely learned that those items have to create your menu, and as long as you have customers that are looking or okay with that, and looking for unique and different and always changing, then it's fun. So
What do you think? I mean, you said you were born and raised in Osage, right? That's your hometown.
yep.
How has it changed over the years?
Oh gosh, I remember leaving Osage after graduating high school thinking like it was kind of a ghost town, there wasn't much to Main Street. There's some good staples, but it was pretty bare. Um, I think it's amazing to see how many like flourishing businesses that we have right now, and our Main Street's really nice. It's full, and everybody in our community should be proud. And we have a really great community for the size that it is, especially. But yeah, I remember thinking like I need something bigger. I need more experience. I need like more restaurants, like things to do. And I think when I decided to move back and to open my business here, I think that I've definitely found a ton of people just like me who have left, went and experienced, tried new things, and then they come back here to raise their families, and they're kind of still missing out on that, like those unique, experiences, and dining experiences is obviously what I always think about. And so it was kind of more like, how can I bring that to our community now? How can I selfishly create what I want, from Des Moines, from the big city, and put it here in our small community. So a lot of what we do, and a lot of the reason that I created the concept of Piggyback and Taste is because I knew that we would, having two restaurants under one roof and being able to share some expenses and products, we're a lot more likely to succeed in the size of community that we have. So I think that's definitely the case, and I'm glad that I went the route that I did, for sure. I know Chris, but a lot of people don't know that in my kitchen, and there's two completely separate kitchens, and in my kitchen specifically, like it's a one-man band. I mean, you've been there, you've seen it. I don't have a fry cook. I don't have a pasta cook. I don't have a line full of cooks. It's me and me only. As far as
Right.
and I shouldn't. I'm definitely can't take all the credit. I have Keith and Jean and Ashley and Casey, and they all do a lot of prep work. And today Casey was cooking lunch all day, and I definitely have support behind me. But as far as how our kitchen's actually set up, like we are like a one-person kitchen, in both my side and on the Piggyback kitchen. Like it's not set up to be more than one person working in that kitchen. And I think that's something that I had to just truthfully, like, I had to know that that's, it's hard to find people that are experienced and willing to work in a kitchen. And so I think when I opened up in the Sears building, that's something that I had to be very transparent with myself about. I'm not creating and making this big ass kitchen for a line of 3, 4, 5 cooks. Like it has to be doable with one person running this show.
And I think just beyond what you were talking about with the restaurant and the community, if you haven't been to Osage, it's unique in a way where I don't want to say it's in the middle of nowhere, but I mean you're about a half an hour from Mason. You're about 50 minutes to an hour to Rochester. You're probably 20, 25, maybe even longer to Charles City. So you almost do have a small little local economy. And if it's not flourishing with the things you guys have right now in 2021, you're going to lose the people. You're going to lose the 3,800 people. You're going to lose the good community that you have. You're going to lose the school district that's really well known, not only academically, but also from an athletic standpoint. And I mean, just in my last year getting to know Osage, you guys have some good restaurants, but every restaurant is different. And I liked what we mentioned too when you and I were talking. You know, you guys somewhat help each other. It's not like you're competing, but you're not, because you guys are all a little bit different. Is that correct?
Absolutely. And I've always said that, the more that we have and the more that draws people into our community, the more the more time they want to spend there. The more people we're going to get to visit and to stay. And like I said, stay longer, Funny, I just had lunch today at Tres Amigos, and Cornelio and I chatted a little bit, and, it's a very friendly competition, and we shouldn't, it's not, yeah, it's what else can we do to build our community, to attract more people. And funny that you should say this, because it's kind of the same concept at the farmers market. I'm helping Katie, our chamber director, and leading the farmers market. This is my second year helping. And last year we had 3 vendors that have been very loyal. For the past 10 years, there's been 3 vendors and 3 vendors only, to say. And they were a little, standoffish that we had so many more vendors last year. In fact, we were up to about 20 vendors at the end of the year. So from 3 to 20, and for me, I'm like, oh, heck yeah, this is great, awesome. And they were a little bit standoffish, those 3 original vendors. And I said, look, here's the thing. Have you guys seen an increased foot traffic at the farmers market? Absolutely, 100%. And they all know it, and they're very grateful for that. In fact, they've all done a really great job at giving back to the chamber by donating some of their profits each week, and to keep the farmers market going. And I said, look, here's the thing. The more vendors we have, the more foot traffic we have. The more foot traffic we have, the more you sell. The more you sell, the happier you are, the happier I am, the happier our consumers are, our community is. Let's grow the farmers market. Yeah, somebody might be selling right across the parking lot from you, the same items, but you're still selling, a greater amount at the end of the day as a whole, because we've, picked up so much foot traffic. And I think it's the same exact thing for business in any aspect, whether it's, me having a restaurant, and, my aunt and uncle having a restaurant just a block down, and, Cornelio having the Mexican restaurant and whatnot. We all do what we do, and we do it well, and we all have different styles. But some of my customers might be eating at one of their restaurants on a Friday night instead of my restaurant. But you know what? They're not going anywhere. They're coming back to my restaurant maybe next Wednesday instead. And I think that that's an important thing of small community living, is it's not about the competition. It's about how can we grow together? How can we grow as a whole? What can we do to continue to grow our community? It's not about the competition at all.
You're right. I think there's a way that you could have good competition, but it makes everyone better. If I have 5 people in the room that all sell corn, how many people are going to end up there? But if I have 20 to 25 different vendors, 5 of those selling corn, but 20 of the other ones selling something different, you're right. The foot traffic is going to increase, and that's what you want. All right, enough about that. Now we're going to do a fun little segment to kind of wrap things up a little bit. Then we'll do some final thoughts. I always like to do a little bit of rapid fire questions for people that come on here. You may have seen this, you may have not. Some of them are true and false. Some of them are one-word answers. Some of those might need a little bit more of elaboration to it. First thing that I'll ask, favorite place that you have lived or been to besides your hometown of Osage?
So, really? Okay. My favorite place I visited, hands down, Seattle. I love Seattle. And I think, really, honestly, it's because of the market. Have you been there? Have you been?
I have never been to Seattle.
You have to go. The market in Seattle is phenomenal. I mean, I love seafood. I don't know what I'm doing in the Midwest, being that I love seafood so much, but I think it's just that market I could spend hours at. And it's kind of funny. I do have a secret obsession with markets and farmers markets, hence why I'm helping Katie with the farmers market. But yeah, Seattle is definitely my favorite place that I visited in the U.S. I lived in Des Moines for 10 years, and The number one thing I missed about Des Moines, surprisingly so, the farmers market. Like, their market is a dream market. Have you been there? Tell me you've been there.
I have been to the Des Moines one. That is,
Awesome.
I've been to quite a few farmers markets in the Midwest. I've been to a couple in Chicago, been to the one in Des Moines, been to the one in Madison, Green Bay, Wausau, a couple in the Milwaukee area, Eau Claire, the Twin Cities. Yeah, I've been to a few. But my favorite one is probably Madison, Wisconsin, because it's around the capital. There's just a good feel. The one in Madison. Have you been to that one before?
No, but I'm putting it on my to-do list like mentally right now as we speak.
You should. Madison's a cool place. And Seattle and Madison are not the same, but I think Madison tries to have that West Coast vibe like a Portland or a Seattle. So you may like some of the shops too. Now that the pandemic has kind of lightened up a little bit. All right, what is one item of food that you don't have on your menu but you want to add, or it's just something you haven't thought about right now, or at least, well, of course you probably thought of it at least, but what is one item on your menu that you don't have that you really want?
Ooh, that's a good question. Okay, so I love mushrooms. Any sort of mushroom, shiitakes, morels, chicken of the woods. I love mushrooms, and we're fortunate enough to have two ladies who have been who gotten their certification to inspect mushrooms. So we haven't been able to sell or to prepare and add to any dishes any of those mushrooms legally. They have to be inspected by somebody who's been state certified. And all the way up until now, I haven't ever known anybody to do that. So I had two ladies reach out to me and say, hey, like, we'd be happy to get certified. Oh, hell yeah. So I haven't pulled that trigger yet. One of the ladies is actually growing some mushrooms. And then the other one is huge into foraging. So she's, I'm looking forward to maybe hopefully a phone call soon saying, hey, Jes, I've, foraged some morels and some chicken of the woods. I've inspected them. Here you go. I'll sell them to you. So that's kind of an answer to that, right? Like we haven't really pulled that trigger, but and it's one of those things too. Alyssa, I'm going to go back to Alyssa, our general manager. When she started working for us, she was a pretty plain palate person. And it's kind of funny because I've already transformed her. And mushrooms was one of those things I don't do them, like not in any way, shape, or form. And we had her birthday. We had a little birthday outing yesterday. I cooked lunch for them here at my house, and made some steaks on the grill and grilled up some mushrooms, and she loved every bite of them. I'm like, oh yeah. So yeah, mushrooms. I want to add a whole bunch of fun different mushrooms for our menu. Both that piggyback and taste.
Okay. A hidden gem that not many people know about in Osage, but also another one in North Iowa.
Ooh, a hidden gem in Osage. Huh. Honestly, I feel like all of the stores that I think all of our stores are hidden gems. I think that I wish that more people made it a priority to shop those stores, to go in and to have the conversation and to feel the clothes and to touch things rather than ordering online. I think we're very spoiled, and I think that I wish that more people took advantage of that. Hidden gem in North Iowa, I would say. Anytime that I can get, of course, this is food related. But anytime that I can get away and sneak away for an evening, Friday or Saturday night, Jeremy and I like to go over to Cafe Mir over in Fertile.
How did I know you were going to say that? I'm telling you, I've never heard you say that, but for some reason, I knew you were going to say that right when you brought up food. So what is that place pretty good? I've heard.
Yeah, Nathaniel and Josh, cousins that own and operate the place. I've got to meet both guys a couple times now. Nathaniel came over to our restaurant, and I met him. He was actually out foraging for mushrooms, so I met him while he was out and about. Cool guy. And then Josh, I got to meet while doing some business with a restaurant in Clear Lake that's no longer open. But again, super cool guy. I love the way that they think outside the box, outside of the norm for what we're used to around here. And I think that was my number one thing opening up Taste was, I don't want the deep fat fried pork tenderloin. I don't want the Philly cheesesteak sandwich. I don't want, I want the unique. I want the different. And I think that those guys do an outstanding job of the same thing, kind of forcing people to try new things and incorporating some really cool local ingredients. And yeah, that's definitely my favorite go-to. Definitely.
What do you guys do? You kind of mentioned it. What do you kind of do when you get a day off? But what beyond food? What's something that you guys do together as a couple or as a family when you're away from the restaurant? There's got to be some hobbies in there.
Okay.
Beyond food.
I know. That's the hard part. In fact, my husband and I joke because he told me when we first got engaged, actually, he has a lot of hobbies. He plays guitar, he golfs, he's the technology coordinator, so a lot of like techie stuff. And he kept telling me like I needed a hobby. And I said, you're right, I do need a hobby outside of work. So I said, I'm gonna start planting some herbs. And he said, doesn't count, that's food. I'm like, it does too count. So this is an ongoing thing with me and him about how my hobby is still like food related. And as you can see, like I literally am like sitting here planting herbs and it's my hobby. So I would say outside of that, we golf. We do a lot of golfing.
Okay.
Honestly, Chris, I hate to say it, but all of my hobbies and all of our hobbies, they really are like food related. Either farmers markets, going to farmers markets, again, planting herbs. Today I took my son Harrison out to a couple of our local farms that have cows. He's obsessed with cows right now. So it's mama moo, moo, moo. Okay, child, let's go see these damn cows. And again, I guess that's kind of food related. I don't know. What are your hobbies?
What are my hobbies? I read. I try to at least read a book every other week. I try to get that much done. And a lot of times actually with my reading, I read about 12 books at a time. And it just depends. It's kind of like TV shows. It depends on my mood. But most of my books are
these are my books. I'm sitting here like literally reading magazines. Food magazines.
Yeah.
So again, I don't know if that counts because it's food related.
And I think you and I are probably the same way. We're in our 30s. We're hungry. We do things with purpose and we want to be successful in what we do. So we're hungry in that way rather than there are other people that our age, that traditional type that, have 3 or 4 kids and they have that 8 to 4 job and then they come home and they cook dinner. Like we're different that way.
Yeah. I mean, to be 100% honest, like my hobbies and my career, they just intertwine and I'm happy with that. I'm happy that I have a husband who also enjoys the same things. We sit down and we enjoy a nice bottle of wine that a lot of people our age or they don't have that appreciation for. We enjoy a nice bottle of bourbon. A lot of it again is around that. I enjoy going to our the local gym here, the CRC, and we're so fortunate to have a facility that like the CRC. I love it. I go there, I see so many familiar faces. The average person probably doesn't have to spend as much time at the gym, but given the fact that I'm constantly, trying and eating and trying some more and, sipping this bourbon and trying this wine because it's a really great wine with this lemon bar, I have found that's a whole nother community in itself. I've really enjoyed doing that as a hobby. And again, I feel like it's still like intertwined because probably wouldn't be there as much if it were for what I did as a career, but yeah.
Final thoughts we're going to put in here in the banner here. Hold on here. Let's add banner. All right. Oh, of course I spelled it wrong, but they get the point. Final banner. I put final banner in. That's not what I wanted to put. Final thoughts.
Hold on, I'm putting you down for a second. I got to change my AirPods.
don't mind us on as we're going live. So we have Jes from Piggyback, Smoke Shack, and Taste.
All right, I'm
and
back. Can you hear me? Oh.
She's back. There's we're about to wrap things up. Final thoughts.
Hold on.
Final thoughts for you.
Okay, final thoughts. Hear?
What are your final thoughts? What are you going to be doing in the next 10 to 15 years? Where do you see yourself in 20, we'll say 2035, 2040?
Oh, goodness. Well, the number one question I get asked all the time, are you having another kid? Are you having another kid? When are you guys having another kid? To be 100% honest, I'm pretty content right now. Like, I really love life. I love having Harrison. He keeps us on our toes, but, you know, we'll probably end up trying to throw in another kid in there somewhere. I am really enjoying right now. I've never in the however many years, 14 years that I've owned my business, I've never been able to confidently say that I can step away. I can plan a vacation. I'm meeting my high school girlfriends in July. We're going to, I don't even know where we're going. We're going somewhere tropical and it's going to be amazing. But
Good. You deserve that. You need to get away. It's good for your mental health. And that's something that we forget about too, as active entrepreneurs, that a lot of people don't realize, especially the smaller businesses, you're not working 8 to 4, 7 to 3, 8-hour days, 5 days a week. I mean, you're working. If you want to start your own business and it's a small business, you have to start somewhere, and you're working everything from ground up, you're working 80, 90 hours, sometimes more. And you don't get vacations for the first 5, even sometimes 10 years. And for you, it's taken longer for being able to have an actual vacation where you have a nice foundation set. You have people that you trust and have faith in. It takes time. It takes hard work.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I had a girl started as an intern for me 4 years ago, and she now comes back and she will be a senior in college, and she's back right now on summer break working. And she's the only person in the history of ever at the restaurant that has been trained in every department. She can work piggyback kitchen, she can work taste kitchen, she can work front of the house, both sides. I mean, this girl is awesome, and she'll be turning 21 next month. And she said to me, you know, a lot has changed since I've worked here. She said, you seem a lot more chill. Oh, let me tell you, honey. No. And what's funny about that is it's so true. You know, those first 4 years of getting our new location open and going, everything is from the ground up, and it's here and there, and you sleep it, think it, breathe it, you know, everything. And it's you know, it's always Jes, you know, and everything, whether it's marketing related, whether it's ordering, you know, whether it's preparing, you know, it's customer, anything, it's always Jes. And I think this is the first time in my entire career history that I'm so happy to say that I'm confidently at a place where I can step away. You know, I was gone all day today, and by gone all day today, I mean I only popped in like twice and was only there for a couple hours, but you know how that goes. But you know, I honestly, I'm confident in saying that, you know, Alyssa does a great job at, you know, the general management position, and you know, Beth manages the bakery, and you know, Russ manages Piggyback, and everybody kind of has their ownership kind of in it, and it's so cool. And it's so cool that I feel like I can breathe again. Like I feel like I can take the vacation, I can take the day off and not feel that anxiety of, you know, what am I going to miss or what's going to happen. And I feel like, so projecting out, you know, in the next few years, I would like to say that playing that role will get a little bit easier, you know, being able to work on the business, not necessarily in the business all the time, I think is equally important. But I think that when you have the right people and you can step away, it's a really cool feeling. And I feel like right now we have all of those right people in the right spots, and it's taken a long time to get there. And so in my near future, I'm seeing a vacation in July with my high school girlfriends. In my, you know, near future that's a little bit further out, I'm seeing hopefully some family vacations, you know, visiting spending more time with family and friends and slowing things down. You know, things have been so go, go, go. And as you know, Chris, starting a business, that's all it is go, go, go. And you just can't escape it. And I want to slow things down. I want to have that, have that time to have those conversations with friends and family and, call you up just to see how you're doing someday. Not always business. That's
I know
where I see myself. As far as the restaurants go, yeah, I feel like Piggyback has seen an extreme increase in foot traffic and clientele in the past, I would say. Definitely. Well, there's COVID in there, but I mean, it's really cool to see that people are coming into Piggyback because there's not a lot of places that smoke their meat in house anymore. They get it in already smoked and claim it as their own or claim it as smoked in house. But do you really smoke it in house? And so I think that it's really cool. I mean, even like in the Mason City area, there's not really, I don't think, anywhere you can go that they legit smoke it in house. So I'm looking forward to helping, keep promoting Piggyback and growing that business and letting Alyssa kind of take charge and hopefully kicking back a little bit more.
that's
Getting
a great
back
way to.
those 80 hours a week, that I put in thus far, I guess. I don't know.
I like it. That's a great way to end things. Jes, again, check out her place, Piggyback Smoke Shack. She's got the bakery. She's got Taste. So I know we mentioned 2 restaurants under one roof, but you kind of have 3 different areas that people can go to get different foods. She's got lunch. She's got dinner open. How many days a week are you guys open?
We're open Tuesday through Saturday.
Tuesday through Saturday. Make sure you check it out in Osage. Jes, thanks for coming on the podcast, and I know we'll see you soon.
Yeah, thank you, Chris. As always, it was a joy. You're always a lot of fun. So I'll see you next time.
See ya.